Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you all doing today? Great, great. My name's Stephanie Maslowski, and I'm your worship associate today. Welcome to the River Road Unitarian Universalist Congregation. If this is your first time in person, we welcome you. We hope you'll stop by the welcome table so we can get to know you and get connected. For those watching live on YouTube, please feel free to join in the chat with our online host. If you are watching this at a later date and have questions, please visit our website to learn more, to learn how to connect with us. Details of all of our programs and upcoming events can be found on our website at rruc.org.
We begin our time together by lighting our chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith, with these words by Christine Robinson.
We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice. Let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice.
Good morning. I'm Laura Piervincenzi, Associate Director of Religious Education, and today we are starting a new tradition at River Road. We are going to honor our 5th and 8th graders with moving up rituals to mark this milestone for them of finishing one section of our religious education program for the fifth graders, the elementary program, and moving to middle school. And for the eighth graders, finishing either the middle school program or eighth grade OWL and moving to youth group. So we'll begin with the fifth graders. Any fifth graders who are here, please come forward. All right. Okay. Today, we celebrate you as you take the next step on your journey, moving from childhood to adolescence. This is a time full of hope and expectation and wonder. To mark this transition, we are offering you a kite, a fitting metaphor for this time in your life. Kites lift and soar when the breeze is just right. And then, when the wind stops, the kite might fall or fail to lift. Think of this congregation as the string that keeps you grounded. We will celebrate the joy of flight with you, and if, when you fall, we will do all we can to make your landing as safe as possible. We intentionally chose blank white kites. To go with them, we're also giving you some markers. Make this kite your own, different from anyone else's, as unique as you are. And whenever you see it, remember how special you are. Remember to soar as high as you can. And most importantly, remember that this congregation holds you with love as you navigate your way forward. So, Lucia, would you receive your kite from Adrienne? And markers. And Eleanor. Thank you. We have a few other fifth graders. Oh, I see one coming in right now. Or two, actually. Okay, so this is Diana Chuzed and Griffin Masulo, both moving into sixth grade. I am not going to read everything I read already, but I will make sure that you get these words for you. Thank you both so much. Okay, you can go sit down. You can sit down. Yeah. Thank you. And then also in fifth grade, moving to sixth, is Laura T. Apanchin and Eliza McGinty Lang. Okay, eighth graders, I invite you all to come up, please. So, eighth graders, you can stand here. And then all right. The youth group is also here because they have a role in this. Elsa, you can. Okay. We celebrate all of you eighth graders today. You are transitioning from middle school to high school. And come September, you are officially ready to be a member of our youth group. If you saw the youth-led service a few weeks ago or the murder mystery dinner theater in March, you know that the youth group knows how to have fun and how to support each other. I have observed over the years that no matter how tight-knit the group seems, the members are always ready to welcome new participants. The motto seems to be the more the merrier. To demonstrate this welcoming spirit, we've asked youth group members to be here this morning. When I call your name, eighth graders, please cross over and take your place. Okay, thank you. When I call your name, please cross over and take your place among the youth group. You will receive a friendship bracelet to symbolize this transition. Pause. You can just go over to the youth group, and the youth group will welcome you. David, you can go take your place with the youth group. So you're going to go. Okay, Elspeth. QC. Dre. Addis. Ted. Tamsin. And Zach. Welcome all to the youth group. Okay. I now invite children and educators to go to your classes. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, River Road. Good morning. It's good to see you all this morning. It's a beautiful day. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me better now? Excellent. Throughout human history, we have marked all manner of important moments in our lives with shared ritual, such as we have just experienced. We celebrate births, we honor achievements, we memorialize our dead. Yet there remain pivotal occasions for which we don't have regular customs of collective observance. These often go unrecognized and unnamed. So today we've gathered specifically to celebrate our 5th and 8th graders and to offer them a blessing as they move up to the next stages of their growth and education. And with intention today, we will reflect on and create ritual space for other milestones and transitions that occur in the breadth of human experience. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. Let all things living now sing and rejoice. These words, taken from selections in the Gray hymnal, which you may or may not know is Gray because we project our lyrics these days. It is called Singing the Living Tradition. And they speak to us of gratitude, of generosity, of celebration, all things that we Unitarian Universalists value. So today's service is an opportunity for us to pause and reflect together on these various moments that constitute our lives and to give them due space in the ritual of community making. If nothing else gets communicated to you today, I hope that you will hear these 3 things. 1, our lives are made up of stories. 2, community is foundation. And 3, we live whole lives. So, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. I often repeat the idea that one of the primary longings that influence the creation of our communities is the desire to know and to be known. a longing for connection where we get to show up as ourselves, just as we are, and to be appreciated and loved, and to return that appreciation and love to others. In the UU 101 class that we are currently wrapping up, we begin with logistics. So we talk about what the agenda is going to be, what the structure is, what to expect, how we're going to use Realm to get resources, to connect with one another in between sessions, to ask questions and sometimes get an answer, but usually more questions. But then after we have set the stage for our time together, we quickly move into telling our story. So what I invite folks in the class to do is to tell a very specific sliver of the story, because we can't possibly tell the full story of our lives in a class such as that. So I asked them to share their past, present, and possible, but not all of the past, the present, and the possible, but their foundations. What traditions did they receive in the beginnings of their lives? And in their present, how do they currently identify? What words do they use to describe themselves? And in the possible, what future do they see for themselves in community? What are their hopes? What are their aspirations? What are their expectations? How do they hope to transform themselves? How do they hope to transform others? So it's a very particular way of sharing a story that has structure. And it's an invitation for the folks in the class to begin to get to know one another, to begin to form those bonds of connection that make a community such as this one. I wonder what other ways you can choose to tell your story, what other milestones in your life, other than receiving a tradition from your parents or family of origin, what other milestones generate those stories? Here are a few examples. I was recently sharing with someone, perhaps it was the staff, I don't remember, about the first day, my first day of school. How many of you remember your very first day of school? Not very many of us. Well, I remember my first day of school because, as I like to tell it, my mother took me to a place I had never been before, and it was full of people I had never met before, and she left me there. Not only did she leave me there, but when they did roll call for attendance, the person doing so got my name wrong, so I didn't know that she was calling for me. And then they accidentally put me in second grade. It might have been third grade, I'm not sure. I just know that I didn't know what 4 times 7 equaled. I didn't know what they were talking about. I was quite tall for my age, and they got confused. They then moved me to kindergarten, gave me some crayons and a coloring book. I was much happier there. So that's a story of a moment in my life. Another story, much later, as a 12-year-old entering junior high school, I could no longer walk to the schools that I had gone to for elementary school. So occasionally I would take a bus. Occasionally I would get a ride from a classmate who lived down the street. But it was the first time in my life that I went a little farther afield without my parents. It was an opportunity to begin exploring. And I can remember on days when we did not have school, my friends and I would ride our bikes from the town that we lived in near the school, which was on the border with the neighboring town. I can remember a sense of freedom, of liberation. It was an opportunity to observe becoming older. So that's another story. Another story, after my first year in college, I did not do well. I spent most of that time depressed and not going to classes and failing because it was the first time I spent a significant amount of time away from my family. I did that on purpose so that I could explore my identity. I had always known that I was gay, but I had never found anyone to share that with. And so after a not so great first year of college, I went home and I spent the next year relying on my friends to help me tell the story of me. And it was only a year after that that I finally came out to my family and then the world. Shortly after that, I returned to the college that I no longer attended and went to the very first Pride event in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was National Coming Out Day in October of 1998, and I had never been out, literally, in public as an openly gay person. It was a thrilling and a scary moment. What stories can you tell of your lives? What moments can you think of that were important in the formation of your identity? There are many other such moments that I can talk about, that you can talk about in the telling of your stories, going up from one level of your education to the next. At the beginning of this month, we heard from youth who were bridging out of high school and into young adulthood. They had a lot to say to us. They had a lot to teach us. They spoke about how Unitarian Universalism saved them, literally. Literally. We have other moments, emerging adulthood, young adulthood, marriage, parenting, all of these things that occur over the course of a life that form who we are as individuals and as communities. And when we tell a story, much like the story I ask of those in UU 101, we make choices. We have to decide where to begin. We have to decide what to include. We have to decide where the end of the story is. Otherwise, you can't tell an effective story. You just do like I do and talk. But our lives are not entirely linear. We do not experience only certain kinds of stories in our youth and other kinds of stories when we are older. Any kind of story can be told at any moment. An older adult can experience the first day of school when they decide to go to the local college and take a class. A young child can experience the death of a loved one. It does not matter how old we are, just that we tell the stories. We enrich each other's lives by telling our stories. We come together in community to share each other's stories. A song we are going to sing momentarily says, "From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live." May it be so.
From you I receive, to you I give,
In support of our congregation and the community beyond, the morning offering will be gratefully received. We do so mindful of the fact that we draw water from the wells we did not dig and pick fruits from trees we did not plant. This is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who come after. If this is your first time visiting, please feel free to let the plate pass you by. Your presence is your gift to us. To learn more about why we give of our financial treasure, you can check out our website at rruuc.org. There you can find information on our vibrant programs and all the ways to connect to the mission and vision of this community. You can also give right there on the main page by clicking the blue Give Online button. You can also text to give. The text to give number is 73256. So text RRUC and the amount you'd like to give to the number 73256. You'll receive a link to complete your donation. Thank you for sharing your time, your talents, and your treasures.
In the UUA Meditation Manual, Shelter in This Place, Meditations on 2020, my friend and colleague, the Reverend Jacaren Bell, writes, "Do not forget to mourn. Not all of the stories of our lives are great stories. Sometimes we face a crisis of identity in our formation. Sometimes the career that we've had for some time ends unexpectedly before we are ready. Sometimes we face the onset of sudden disability unexpectedly. Sometimes a death occurs that we are not prepared for. But no matter the kind of story, we find solace in our congregations and in our communities, our friendships, and our families. We comfort one another all the more genuinely for having shared those personal stories with one another. When we come together to know and to be known, it makes it that much easier to care for one another in our times of need and in our times of celebration. I wonder if you can, for a moment, try to remember stories of community that held you, that supported you, that uplifted you, that celebrated you throughout your life. Take a moment to think of one or more. From my own experience, I can share with you, once upon a time, I was on my way to church. I have been a member of the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore for the past 23 years. At the time, I lived in the neighborhood, and it was a 10-minute walk to get to the service in the morning. That particular morning, I was participating in the service with music. I was working with a hand chime choir. We didn't have handbells, but we did have chimes. And there was probably some other music that I was going to play. I don't really remember, because on my way to church, walking through the neighborhood, I received a phone call from my then partner, now husband, from the ground on the farm where he grew up, awaiting an ambulance because he had fallen from a tree and could not stand. I don't know why he called me. He was 5 hours away in western Pennsylvania, and I was in downtown Baltimore without a car or a driver's license because I walked everywhere. There was nothing I could do, but he called me to apologize for falling out of the tree. I don't know what goes through people's minds when they're broken and hurting, but he wanted to make sure I was okay as he lay on the ground. I walked into the church that morning to play music, and I walked to the front of the sanctuary, and I opened my mouth to say that I needed to go home, and I could not speak. I cried. I broke down in tears, and my fellow congregants looked at me and said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I have to go home. I can't stay. I'm sorry. I can't play music today. Joel has broken his hip. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to go home." And they said, "Okay, we'll take care of the service." And I left. I went back home, and I don't remember the rest of the day, but what I do remember is we had what we called neighborhood caring circles at the time, where folks who lived near one another got together pretty regularly over a meal for time of fellowship and connection, of telling each other our stories, of creating a community within the larger community. And when they found out that Joel had broken his hip, one member of my group called me to say that he had nothing to do in the coming week. Could he please drive me to the farm so that I could be with Joel? I said, "Yes, thank you." He changed his life around for a week so that he could drive me 5 hours away to a place he had never been so that I could be with my beloved when he got out of the hospital. And then he drove me back home. Community is foundation. This is why we come together, to tell our stories, to be fully present, to know and to be known so that we can care for one another, so that we can celebrate each other, so that we can learn about ourselves, so that we can teach others, so that we can live love into the world. Another quick story. I can remember having a conversation with a couple of elder members in the congregation at the time. One was an older black woman, and she told me that every Sunday on her way to church, she listened to gospel music. And I thought, gospel music? Why do you listen to gospel music? We don't sing gospel music in this congregation. And she said, I love gospel music. I grew up with gospel music. Gospel music is in my blood. Why shouldn't I listen to gospel music? And I thought to myself, why shouldn't she listen to gospel music? There's no reason that she shouldn't. Heck, maybe I'll listen to gospel music. And I said, I like some gospel music. I don't like the theology of other gospel music, but I like some of the music itself. I grew up in the church with gospel. Having that conversation, that brief interaction with her on the steps in the way to the sanctuary that Sunday morning gave me permission to re-examine the story of my relationship with the religion of my upbringing. It gave me permission to heal from hurts that I had experienced. It gave me permission to be more fully who I am and to tell all of the parts of my story rather than sweeping it under the rug and pretending that it never happened. That was a great gift that I received in that brief interaction. The second member of the congregation is, and still is, a ordained Baptist minister and is a member of that congregation. And I said to him, do you seriously still consider yourself a Christian? Now, I was raised Christian in case you couldn't tell. And after becoming a Unitarian Universalist, for the first several years or decade of my experience as a UU, I did not want to have anything to do with anything having to do with Christianity or that reminded me of it. Nothing at all. It's been a long time since then, and I've continued healing those parts of myself that were harmed. And I no longer have that kind of a knee-jerk reaction to things that are from the religion of my upbringing. I can be rather dispassionate or passionate when I encounter them. But that question was one that was very important to me at the time. I said, how can you call yourself a Christian? And his response was, it's who I am. Simple as that. It's just who I am. And I realized that no matter what words I choose to use, the lens that I was formed with will always reflect the upbringing that I had. And rather than fighting it, I could learn more about it and take what was positive and leave what was not. And it made me feel whole. I wonder if you have those conversations with each other here at River Road. If you have moments where someone has what seems like a simple statement that has a profound impact on your own story and therefore the story of this community. I wonder if you seek out those opportunities. I wonder. For all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our whole days, our own days, I know this hymn, our own days glad. Our lives are made up of stories. Community is foundation. I have one more reflection to share with you, but before that, we have some music. Thank you. Do we have any new births in the congregation? Does anyone have new births in their families? New pets? New plants? A new house or a new job? The stories of our lives are circular stories. We do not live linear lives. Our lives are a series of turnings and turnings and turnings. And we come back to stories and we reflect on them and their influence on our lives. That's what we do every Sunday. We come back together as a community, we reconstitute this group of people, and we tell stories to each other, and we reflect on them, and we hopefully learn from them or grow. We transform each other by being in community together. We review our lives. One of the benefits of communities that have cyclical liturgies is that they share a common story that they review on an annual or regular basis. And I wonder what our shared stories are that we can return to on a regular basis to go deeper. I wonder what that looks like. It could look like participation in a small group ministry where you meet with the same group of people over a time and go deeper and deeper and deeper, strengthening those bonds that we have been exploring this morning. We participate in communities that existed before we came along. We create new communities for those that come after us. As we hear just about every Sunday, we draw water from wells we did not dig. And then there's the part that says, this is as it should be as long as we, what? Dig wells and plant trees for those that come after us. That is the essence of being in community, in relationship with others. So, I'm going to share additional details of some of the stories, not all of them, because that would take forever, but some of the stories, because the third thing that I want you to take from today, beyond that our lives are made up of stories and community is foundation, is that we live whole lives. So, do you remember me telling you about riding my bike to junior high school and visiting the town over, and it was exhilarating and it was liberatory and it was so much fun? Well, also on one of those bike rides in the neighboring town, my friends and I, for the first time, I'm 12, remember, experienced an individual drive past us and roll down their window and shout the N-word at us. No one in my life to that point had ever called me that, certainly not a stranger, but we were a group of young black boys riding our bicycles in a place where we were not welcome, and they wanted us to know that we were not welcome. So when I returned home, I told my parents, and that was the beginning of conversations and experiences of learning how the world works and learning what it means to move through the world in this skin. I wonder if you've had an experience that opened your view on the world and what it really means to be in it and a part of it. I relied on the strength of family and friends and a secure sense of self-identity to brush that off and let it go. I still remember it, obviously. It was a pivotal moment, but I no longer feel the sting that I felt as a 12-year-old. I couldn't understand why it was necessary for someone to do such a thing. I still don't understand it. Do you remember me telling you the story of going to Erie, Pennsylvania for their first ever Pride celebration? It was National Coming Out Day in October of 1998. Remember, I did not do well in my first year of college. I then spent an entire year trying to figure out how to come out to my family and the world. And then I decided to go to a public gathering that fall. What I did not tell you is that in the car on the way to Erie, Pennsylvania, listening to the radio, we learned about Matthew Shepard, who was in the hospital that weekend. So going to that rally meant a lot more than doing something publicly for the first time. Someone who was a year older than me was in the hospital dying because of their identity. I went anyway. I still have pictures, they're on the internet, because it was the first time in Erie, Pennsylvania that such a thing was happening. It was a notable historical moment. So there are photographs of, how old was I? 19-year-old me in a giant rainbow felt Dr. Seuss hat. Because if you're going to be out, why not be fully out? So I relied on the love of my friends and the LGBTQ community to support me in that milestone of learning who I am in the world and how the world sees me. We draw water from wells we did not dig. I am grateful to those who came before me to pave the way so that I could be celebrating my 12th wedding anniversary just a few weeks ago. Woohoo! Joel's hip is fine, by the way, in case you were wondering. The other one, however, no. Yeah, aging, one of those milestones when your body starts to do things you didn't expect, like my finger that I can't straighten anymore from a few weeks ago. That's a first for me. But life in its fullness doesn't have to mean there's good stuff and there's bad stuff. It could just mean that we are who we are and we show up as ourselves. I can remember being in church in my 20s and realizing as I was speaking to the congregation that I wasn't tolerated in my home church. I was celebrated. It wasn't just that people were, doing their best to accommodate icky me. They wanted me to be there. They wanted me to be my full self. They wanted me to show up authentically with a sense of integrity. I can't tell you what that does for your sense of self-worth and your sense of love and security in the world. You heard from folks bridging in the beginning of this month about how being a part of this community has loved them into life. You have loved each other into life. In your fullness, the ups and the downs, the circle of life that we all go through as we turn through all of the seasons. This is why we are here this morning. Because our lives are made of stories and community is foundation and we live whole lives. We live whole lives. So I want you to remember all of this as we move forward in the life of this congregation. You will have received an email from me on Saturday, if you haven't read it yet, about the Flow programming, asking for your input. You asked me to serve this congregation to help you strengthen your community, to provide opportunities for connection, and I'm doing the best that I can based on what you've asked for, but I need you to show up. I need you to come on not a Sunday or on Sunday and tell each other your stories. I need you to be the community that you wish to be. I need you to provide a space where people can be whole, where people can be healed, where people can review the stories of their own lives and come at it from a place of security and safety and love and growth. I need you to be River Road UU congregation for each other. Can you do that? Yes? What did you say? This Wednesday, 6:30. 6:30, yes. I hope to see many of you there. So, with those reflections, I will be inviting you into a time of ritual. There are 3 sets of sheets of paper on the back wall behind you. On my left, your right, so left as you're facing the wall, there are 2 sheets of paper that say "My Story." I would like you to take a few minutes while Cliff plays some music to think about parts of your story that you want to share with River Road. You can write a brief sentence, you can draw a picture, something that is the story of you that you bring to this community. On my right are 2 sheets of paper that say "My Community." I want you to think of a time in your life, here or elsewhere, where your community showed up for you, or where you were the community that showed up for someone else. And again, to write a sentence or 2 or draw a picture that represents that moment. And in the middle, we have 2 sheets of paper that say "My Fullness." We began this service with very specific observances and naming moments in our lives that have regular rituals. And I did at one point mention that there are times that we just don't have a ceremony. We don't recognize them. Some traditions that I am familiar with have a ritual called hand fasting. Do you know what that is? It's hand fasting. It is a ritual akin to a marriage or wedding ceremony where the 2 or more participants have their hands bound to each other, representing a new relationship, a new connection. They also have a ritual called hand parting, where they come together again with their hands bound and they honor that relationship for what it was able to provide them, and they respectfully and ritually release each other from those commitments. I think it's a beautiful ceremony. I don't think that most of us have a ritual to acknowledge when things end, when relationships end, whether it be a marriage or a friendship. So on the My Fullness pages, I invite you to write a sentence or 2 or draw a picture of some moment in your life that did not get its due space. An opportunity for you to name it, to claim it, to honor it, to let it go if you need to, or to celebrate it in community. After you have done all of this, we'll come back together, we'll sing, we'll end the service, and after you've gone to coffee hour or wherever you might go, I do invite you to come back to look at what folks have written, because we tell our stories, but we also form the community to receive those stories. So again, your story, things that you want to share, your community, opportunity for sharing where community showed up for you or you showed up as the community. And in the middle, anything from your experience that you want to give special attention to. And so now I will invite Cliff to share some music as you reflect, and I invite you to share yourselves on the paper in the back of the sanctuary. Dear River Roaders, thank you. Invite you in the interest of time to reconvene, and if you have not yet had a chance to share part of your story on the pages, to do so at the conclusion of the service before you head out. Thank you so much for being willing to be present to each other in this way.
Our Unitarian Universalist principles and values call us to live our values aloud, not alone, and encourages us to be open-minded, open-hearted, spiritual communities, helping people lead lives of justice, love, learning, and hope. Here are some of the ways you can live your values in the coming weeks. Election workers. I'm an election worker. We need you. Are needed for the June primary in Montgomery County. There are many different roles and time commitments available. You don't have to be a judge. There's lots of things you can do. Just go on Montgomery County's website and you'll see it. Board of Elections. Consider joining us for our 14th yearly West Virginia Service Learning Trip, August 2nd to the 8th. The deadline to register is June 7th, and we'll have a new to the trip meeting on June the 14th. During the days, we work with our supervisors to rehab houses to make more livable, safe, and warm. In the evenings, we have a few programs, including an evening with some local musicians and a quick drive to the local lake. Also, I don't know if you've seen it on the news, but hunger's on the rise in our communities, and that shouldn't be any great big surprise, considering. So donate to a local food bank, please. Take a look. Montgomery County has the Maryland Food Bank, any one of them. If you are going to coffee hour, please reach out, say hello to somebody you've never met, give them a handshake. And I'm going to be at the Wednesday Flow Luncheon, the dinner at 6:30. I hope to see you there. We close our time of worship by extinguishing our chalice and reciting aloud together these words by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our lives are made up of stories. Community is foundation. We live whole lives. For all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. Go forth and shine your light in the world. May it be so.